So, in my excitement for the new Total War Troy MYTHOS DLC, I decided to make a video I've always wanted to create. We're gonna found the Macedonian Kingdom. I could have chosen to play as Aeneas, but instead I decided to go for Paris of Troy. Mainly, this is because I have other plans for Aeneas in the future. And before we get too wrapped up in our mission here, I'd like to promote our Discord server, where we currently are voting for which new monster from the DLC we will make a narrative video for first, whenever I get access to it. But with that said, let us begin. We started the campaign by doing everything we are supposed to do. We captured MYTHOS, made a few deals, improved our towns, and mustered an army. We required a large force if we were to just make a foothold in Macedonia. Over there we are gonna be alone, without allies and hostiles all around us. We were therefore in need of men who could hold their own in a proper fight. Luckily, I think the units we have available from the start fits our needs perfectly. So thank God we actually built a proper army. But once it was complete, I made a prayer to Poseidon so we could cross the Aegean without too much trouble. While sailing away, we spoke to Triolis, the ruler of most of the Northern Islands. We formed a defensive alliance with him as he was actually kind of close to where we wanted to land, and he could therefore prove to be useful. Speaking of where we want to land, a few times later we arrived at Olexysos or something. This was where I wanted to establish our base of operations. They didn't really put up a fight. Not that I'm surprised or anything, we just caught them off guard. But our luck was about to vanish completely. Gaining complete control of this province wouldn't be easy. The remaining settlements were all occupied by the same faction. They would most likely have a superior army to ours. And with no reinforcements available, we had to pick our targets carefully, for now. Oh well, I guess we didn't have to, as both the Edonians and Basalte states to our north declared war on us. At least this means we only had to fight in one direction, north. The Basalte had an army in neutral ground ready to set sail towards us. And this was quite bad, as they could just surpass our forces and attack our town. But not wanting anyone to declare war on us again, I formed a non-aggression pact with Hellenos to the northeast. Now we at least weren't entirely alone up here. Yet staying idle wasn't an option. Paris moved towards Berg, seeking an engagement and hoping to take out one of our two enemies. Agenor, an influential general of our expedition, began rallying locals to defend the town while Paris was away. Because who knows, maybe they could just attack our town. But instead it seemed like they were actually trailing us. And I debated for a bit whether to attack it or not. But if we could occupy their towns, they might be taken out by attrition alone. We of course had to go for the towns then. But the city was a lot better defended than initially thought. But we couldn't back out now. A win here would be crucial. Our tactic was pretty simple. We would focus most of our army to the right, hoping the enemy would do the same. But in a small forest, we would hide a lot of men so they can run up through a hidden path to the left, capture the town square, and force the remaining soldiers to surrender. It turned out to be much easier than expected, as most of the units rushed out, making them easy targets for my archers. They gave up before we got to complete our tactic, but that is never a problem in my opinion. We got a decisive victory out of it, which I couldn't be much happier about. Though they had yet another town further inland. By now, I should probably introduce the Helen My Love mechanic. If you don't know who she is, shame on you. But basically, you should try to keep Helen as close to Paris as possible. And if they are separated for too long, her mood will diminish, resulting in a bunch of debuffs. By now she was getting quite gloomy, which is bad, so I invited her to Berg by holding a grand feast. And this was definitely a mistake on my side, as I still had to take Ioran as I just mentioned, and after I did that, I realized there also was a risk mechanic in this. To my surprise, an Edonian army appeared out of nowhere, capturing Berg and Helen of Troy alongside it. Luckily for us, the Basaltae were now vanquished, meaning we only had one enemy to worry about, and they just appeared to have taken Helen from us. Paris would lay siege to Berg, while Pandoros, another hero of ours, would muster men to reinforce. But before they could arrive, a second Edonian army appeared as well. Together they would sally out against us. This would be the Battle of Helen's Hand. With this many enemies moving towards us, we had to find our own advantage in the terrain. The perfect spot was right between a massive cliffside and a lake. Here most of our men would wait, while a few of them would hide in a forest nearby, hoping to attack them from behind. But as the enemy got closer, our hidden units were spotted. They would be sitting ducks, meaning we had to grind them out on our own. We managed to kill one of their heroes, giving us an edge in morale. A mass rout took place. From here our archers could cut them down. With us being outnumbered almost 3-1, a close victory was more than welcome. We rescued Helen and made peace with the Edonians. We did lose Ioran to a bunch of rebels, which we weren't fast enough to recapture. But I was fine with that, as we could now focus on solidifying our foothold in Phlegra, where we slowly were building a military building for better units. I should probably also tell you that by now all of our former holdings near Troy were lost. Not that it really matters too much. We would just make a hecatomb to Zeus and prepare for another war. We eventually began campaigning in the southern part of our little peninsula. They gave us a good fight, but with us almost being able to supply 3 complete armies, they eventually fell. Sion, their former capital, was renamed Neos Troy in honor of our homeland. I gotta respect Priam somehow. The almighty Achilles also decided to pay a visit, but his reputation was a bit of an exaggeration, as he was basically a pushover. The same could be said for the Macedonians, which was kinda surprising, as they actually had almost the same amount of units as us. But they kept fleeing, allowing us to pick them off one by one. At least we got that lovely gold mine of theirs, and not to mention the incredibly powerful harpies. They're gonna have a key role in the future. Fast forward a bit and we have taken out the Dorians and Lapids to our west. I had no desire to push further in that direction, so now all we needed to do was take out our friends to the northeast. Both were very strong and could prove to be a massive threat on their own. We required godlike assistance if we were to succeed. I recruited Perseus, son of Zeus himself, who we have worshipped ever since we arrived in Macedonia. He mustered a massive army with 3 godly minotaurs under his command. With everyone in their position, we made our move. With Agenor and Perseus defending Berg and the eastern border, Paris and Pandarus would attack the isolated farm settlement of Morillos. This was our opening move, but we should probably have scouted our former friend a bit more, as they approached Berg with 3 massive armies. Outnumbered but determined to survive, Agenor prepared his defense. We blocked the one path we once used to conquer the town by placing tons of units as a defense force. But the other side is not lacking in numbers either. They even have our mighty harpies ready to assist them. The initial battle began in the hidden path, which appears to be not so hidden anymore. With skirmishers firing from above and skilled fighters ahead, it would be a meat grinder of its time. On the other side, it didn't seem to go as smoothly though. We were pinning down the enemy while the harpies did their work, but almost equally as many of our own were getting taken out as well. Our men from the hidden path had finally broken through, meaning they would wrap around the enemy and defeat them. A close victory again. Oh well, a victory is a victory. Whatever forces they had left were stationed in Heraclea Syntyche, but got double teamed by Pandarus and Agenor, giving them little to no chance of survival. It appears as if they had put all their eggs into one basket when they attacked Berg. We squashed their remaining settlements like they were nothing. This now left one enemy, and I had just the right plan to take them out. Agenor would lay an ambush near their capital, hoping to take their armies out one by one, while Paris and Perseus could double team Helenos in Ioran. It is time to see those minotaurs in action. The mighty Perseus had arrived with even more formidable minotaurs. Zeus must be on our side. The battle itself was quite simple, with us charging straight into battle, horns first. They kept us at bay for a while, but eventually lost their footing one by one, making them retreat back to the town square. And while they were stuck down there, our archers could fire them from above, doing their job exceptionally well. With one part of our plan completed, we just had to wait for our enemy's move. Our trap worked and we caught one army off guard. Now, all that remained was the army garrisoned inside the walled city. It was completely surrounded and only a matter of time until they were defeated. A heroic last stand was made, with them rushing out to attack our forces. Of course, they didn't stand a chance, scoring us yet another victory. At this point, Paris had arrived ready to capture the last settlement. We can now call ourselves the founders of Macedon. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure how many settlements are actually needed to conquer. I'm probably missing a lot, but so be it. Our mission is officially over. I will be returning to Total War Troy in the near future whenever I get access to the MYTHOS DLC. And as mentioned earlier, we're currently voting on which mythological monster we will make a narrative video on first, solidifying them in myth. If you want to help decide this, you should join our Discord server. But with that said, I would like to say thank you so very much for watching, and till the next time everybody, goodbye and spread happiness.